So I have everyone muted there just to keep the noise down there. And so John, whenever you kick off, you'll need to unmute yourself. We'll probably just get started. So hi everyone, welcome to this workshop on compliance in Scion Q&A. My name's Emma Leahy and I'm the marketing manager here at Wellington IT. On the call today, we have John McCandless, Professional Services Manager. We have Rick Platt, who's a Senior Software Engineer, and we have Ben Roy, who is a Compliance and Data Protection Officer. So the purpose of the call today is to go through your questions on compliance in Scion. We had asked you to submit some in advance. We've taken a look at those and categorised them into three main categories: trustees, PSD2 fraud reporting, and the complaints procedure. So John and Rick are going to go through those shortly. And then if you do have any questions, though, in addition to that, please do type them into the chat bar if you have any questions for Rick, John, or Ben. But for now, I will hand you over to John, who's going to run through the trustees reporting.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm just going to share my screen here. If you can just let me know when that comes up.
Yes, that's up now, John.
Okay, perfect. So today, guys, I'm going to take a look at the trustee reporting in Scion. So show you guys how to add a trustee onto an account, how that displays in Scion, and also then how you can run a report on any accounts that have trustees in Scion. So some of you might be familiar with this. And some of the screens we're going to take a look at. So the first one we're going to take a look at is how to add a trustee in Scion. So adding a trustee in Scion is done through account inquiry. Okay, so you can hop to it then just from your shortcode there, ACC main. And we're just going to call up an account here in Scion under amend mode. So 905587. Okay, so you'll see, sorry, just loading here. So you'll see down at the bottom here, you've got the tenants related accounts, and then you've got this trustees tab. Okay, so you want to be looking here at the trustees tab, and within the trustees tab, then you'll see some fields that you can record the trustee in. So you can record both a non-member trustee and a trustee that is a member of the credit union. So I'm going to show you both ways. So if I wanted to add the trustee onto the account, so for example, if you were adding a trustee onto an account and that trustee wasn't a member of the credit union, you would just type in their name here. You would select the trustee type. So there's a drop-down list. So beneficiary full control, relative parental control, solicitor full control. So you can select from the drop-down list here what the trustee type is. So we'll select our other full control. And then you can also select the relationship. So what the relationship is between the person that owns the account and the trustee. And you can select then from the drop-down list. So you might find that, you know, if you're selecting one here, for example, maybe solicitor, you know, you might find that, you know, there's not a proper relationship, kind of relationship in there. So I'll show you then how you can add additional relationship types. But for now, yeah, we'll just go with other full control and we'll just select, we'll select other there. And then you can also enter in, an end date into the account, into the field there for the date that trustee will fall off the account. So once you put the details in, you simply then just accept in Scion. And that's that trustee then saved onto the account. So that's me adding in a trustee, a non-member trustee. So I'm going to show you how you can also add in then a trustee that is a member of the credit union. So I'm just going to take that one out and just go back in there. So this time I'm back in the trustees tab. So if I know that my trustee is a member of the credit union, so say it's maybe a parental trustee that you're putting on, I can double click on the trustee name here or press my F12 lookup key, and I can then search for the member. So if I maybe want to search for a parent in here or another, maybe a legal guardian, and they're a member of the credit union, I can search in here. and I can just select then. So I can say I select select a different account. And you'll see there that it's now pulled in the details. So it's pulled in the tenant's name, it's pulled in the tenant's the tenant's tenant number, and then also it will pull in any accounts that tenant number is under, and I'll store that information then in Scion. Again, you can select the trustee type and the relationship type, and just accept on that. So that's adding the trustee onto the account. So that bit's fairly simple. I did mention to you about how to add if you wanted to change the relationship types and add any new in. So I'm going to show you how to do that on Scion. It's also going to be included in the slides that we send out after the workshop today. So to add a new relationship types into that drop-down box, you need to navigate to the program ref type maintenance. So it's RETY main. So some of you might already be familiar with that. And in here, you need to then look up the ref domain so that the relationship type. So the relationship type is set to tenant relations. So it's TEN, 10 relates, tenant relationships. So I just done a search up on the top there for TEN, and it brought me up. And then I can add in the additional relationship type. So you might want to add in if it is a power of attorney, or and it's a solicitor has that, you might want to add solicitor in here into the relationship type, just so as then when you're running your report, you're consistent, and you have your types set up correctly.
John.
Hi.
Hi, just when you're going through that, there's a question here from Bernadette, and I don't know if you've covered it, but can you change trustee type relationship if it was for information only?
Just let me hop back to that to make sure. Oh, sorry. So Bernadette, trustee type, are you referring to here? I think she is, yeah. We don't have a ref type for that. That's something that's stored on the database. So there's no ref type for that. So that would be something we would have to put in.
Okay, and also when you add trustees to an account, how does it affect online banking?
If you add a trustee to the account,
yeah,
I don't think it has any effect. It shouldn't stop the.
It depends, John, on the settings. Yeah. So
Sorry.
yeah, some credit unions want the trustee to be able to operate the account, and not the trustor, or whatever you want to, whichever way round. So it's a setting in the system that the trustee will then access online, but the trustor won't be able to. If you get me, you get that's a setting. So you can stop the juvenile operating their account, but the adult can't.
Is that configurable, Rick?
Yeah, that's the setting. Yeah.
Okay.
Try
and then
web.
just
Another web there, John, must be like, yeah.
Where is that configurable, Rick?
Yeah, that's a good question. We'd have to look at it. It's
Yeah, we'll
probably
have to.
under the web. It's something about allow trustees.
But with
Not many credit unions do that, actually, but yeah, it is possible.
I'd say that that would have to be, that trustee, Rick, would have to be a member of the credit union.
Yes, show account
Right,
under trustee. That must be it there. Yeah. So basically, that shows the account under the trustees' login details.
They would have to be web. The trustee would have to be web registered and a member of the credit union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another question here. It's just while you're running through it. In the event of a data access request, does the fact the member is now linked to another account show in a report?
That is a good question.
So it will show on the trustee report. So I'm gonna run that in a minute and show you what data is on that.
Okay.
So it will show. So I'm going to show you on Scion how it looks. If you, let's see, if we take a look at the account. So if I take a look at the account that I added a trustee onto. So you'll see here that this tenant now is showing up. So this is the trustee that I added. So they're now showing up under the account, and you can see their tenant numbers there, and then it also shows the T to say that they are they're the trustee on the account, that tenant is a trustee on the account, and Scion's able to do that because the trustee is a member of the credit union, so it's putting in those details. So it's adding it on, it's adding them, showing you there that account has a trustee, and they'll show on the account then. The same with the counter program. If I go into the counter program, oh sorry, it's skip past it there. 1 sec. So you'll see there then it'll pop up too to say that the trustee name is a trustee on the account, and the trustee type, so she has full control over the account. So that would look
the color change as well there, John, too.
Sorry, yeah, the color change at the top, yeah, to that grey. So you know that there's a trustee on the account. And then in terms of being able to report on that, there is a trustee report in Scion. So it's called ACTRREP. So you can run this report then at any time. I'll just run a copy of it here. So this is your trustee report in Scion. So it will give you out the details of all the accounts numbers here, and then over on the right here you can see that who the trustee is on the account. So if you look, for example, there you can see that this one here is a member trustee, so that shows you that the trustee on this account, so Mrs. Long is a trustee on member one's account, and so they're both, the trustee is a member of the credit union, and then it just gives you the trustee type and the relationship. But if you look down here onto this one here, so for this account here, for account 170, it's a non-member trustee. So it's saying that Ron Hill there is a trustee on the account, but he's not a member of the credit union. So you might find that, you know, if it's a solicitor is a trustee on the account, they would be a non-member trustee. So this report will give you the member's age, the number of transactions, number of trans in the last 12 months, the last amount, and the last date, and I'll show you on that report. So that report opens up in XML. It's a bit distorted there on my screen because I have my resolution quite high, but you can pull it out into Excel. So you can, and then it goes by that you can also look at closed accounts there too. So any accounts that are closed that have trustees on them. Dormant, so it breaks it down by each account status in the credit union. So you can view it there in XML, or you can get a PDF version of the report by clicking on the view PDF button in Scion. Do we have any other questions there on trustees?
No, not for now, John.
Okay. Okay, so that was all really, guys. That's kind of showing you their trustees, from how to record them on to onto Scion, the different types that you can record, put in, whether it's member, non-member, and then how they display in Scion, so both the counter program and the account inquiry.
John, just as well, I was just thinking, yeah, there is a statement option too. When I think about it, but you know, the destination statements, and then it also links it to the AML. I think if it's a member trustee, that they'll be dragged into AML reporting as well. So it does have other effects in the system, yeah.
If that account hits, so that. Sorry.
Yeah. So if the trustee has across multiple accounts, it should bring that into the AML reports too.
Okay, so take that into yeah. And also then the statement, Rick.
Yeah, I can to the trustee rather than to the trustor.
And that would pull in then the
The
trustees, the address from
yeah,
the trustee's tenant.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Any questions before I move on there, guys? And we'll take a look at PSD2.
I'd say first, sorry for the experts on that as well, because they were the ones that really came up with a lot of it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so next, guys, then we'll take a look at the fraud reporting, and so we'll look at how to set up your system for fraud reporting, how to flag. Sorry, before I move on there, I've just seen a question come in there from Susan. Rick, are you impact on the single customer view if you're a trustee?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't include those in the savings total. The trustees. Yeah.
It doesn't include them.
No. So it's the individual person. Yeah, it still goes down to the person. If they have a single customer view, it's the individual. So it's not. It's the trustor, I suppose.
But what about in terms of if that's flagged off, that file sent off to the FSCS, would that be?
Yeah, it'll be. It'll be the juvenile's account. Yeah, it'll be the juvenile's name. Yeah.
Name on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Does that answer your question there, Susan? Yeah. Perfect. Sorry, I see another one coming in there from Bernadette on the trustee who gets the statement. Sorry, it disappeared there.
I have it. So on the trustee who gets the statement, does the statement go to the address on the account, or if they are a member, does it go to the trustee's address?
I think Bernadette, if their trustee is a member, it will go to their address. Is that right, Rick?
If that checkbox is checked, yeah.
Check. What about if they're a non-member, Rick?
Then yeah, it'll have to go to the address of the trustor. Yeah.
Trustor, yeah. So it's only if they're a member it'll go.
Yeah.
Really. So he's saying really only be.
But you could a contact address onto the account if you wanted to redirect it, and the statement should go to the contact address. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I check? Is that the same as Natasha's question? Is there any way to record an address for a trustee who is not a member who might want to receive a statement?
That probably is if you ever record the contact address in the account to be that.
Yeah. Is. So you'd probably be looking at and under the addresses, you'd have to add in a contact address here. You'd probably also then, when you're running the statement, I think you'd need to select that you wanted to pull in the contact address rather than the home address. Natasha.
Yeah, but the contact address is the home address unless there's one there. I think that's, yeah, you're right, John. I think you have to run it as the contact address.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Natasha? Yes, perfect. Okay, guys, we'll move on. Sure, if there's any more questions if you come up with any more questions on the trustee, sure, just pop them into the chat, sure, and we can cover them at the end. So I want to take a look then at fraud reporting on Scion, just to kind of give you a bit of a refresher again. Detailed documentation you may already have. It's been sent out regarding fraud reporting, but we'll also send it out again after this workshop. So I want to show you how to set your system up for fraud reporting, how to flag a transaction as fraud reporting, and then how to basically run your fraud report to get those transactions to enable you to do your fraud return to the central bank. So there's a few screens in Scion, so that you first of all you would take a look at and do your setup on it. So the first screen that you want to look in is fraud type maintenance. So your fraud type maintenance, and there's 3 tabs in here. There's fraud types, there's liability types, and there's classifications. So the first thing you need to do is when you're setting up your fraud types, you will see ones in there that are defaulted that have went down. But if there's a new one that you need to set up, you'll need to make sure that, if you're setting up a new liability code. So basically, To explain what these tabs are, so the first tab is your fraud type. So on here you'll see your fraud type, a description. You can assign an access type to it. So your access type is FRA, so that's linked. Then you can link that to a task, or if you want maybe your ML officer to get alerted when a transaction's flagged as fraud, and by someone else in the credit union, they can get alerted to a task, by task or message. Then you've got your liability code. So your liability code then falls under the second tab, and your liability is basically the person who, not the person, but who is liable for the fraud. So he'll be liable then to pay out on for that fraud. And then you've got your classifications here, so you can set up then different types of fraud. So if you are setting up a new fraud type, you need to have your liability type and your classification set up first, and then you can continue on and set up your new fraud type in here by just double clicking or clicking in the button, the green plus there, and adding in a new type in here, fraud. So we'll just add, just for an example here. And then you can also put in a report description so when you run your fraud report, it'll show us at a description. That description will show on the report. I'll just put in. So that's basically, it's quite simple, just making sure that they're set up correctly in Scion. And once you've set that up, then you can just accept it there. So once you've done your setup, then I suppose the next bit is then your transactions and how you mark them as fraud. So this is a bit you might need to then, alert other staff members to on how this is done in Scion. Again, some credit unions might already be doing this, and some not. But to mark a transaction as fraud in Scion, so if you're alerted to fraud and you need to mark that transaction as fraudulent, you do so through the statement inquiry screen in Scion, so a screen that you guys will all be familiar with. So if you're alerted that a transaction is fraudulent and you need to mark it, what you can do is you just go up into the transaction and you right click on it, and you'll see in the list here there's a transaction fraud reporting, and you just double click, right click on the transaction and then click on the fraud reporting, and it'll bring you into this new screen. Pulled in the member's account number, their address, all that detail, and basically you start to fill out the form on Scion. So you can select then what type of fraud you want to put this down as. So again, this is looking back then to the previous screen that we were on, which was fraud type maintenance. So these types are now showing up in here. So we'll do website fraud. It'll default then the date that the fraud was reported. But if you're not updating this on that day, you can go back and put in a different date. So then it comes out right on your report of when the fraud actually sorry, that's the date. Yeah, the date that the fraud was reported. I don't think that needs to be the. Rick, does that need to be the date the fraud happened on, or just the date reported?
Date was reported. Yeah.
So, yeah, to come out on the. Okay, so we'll keep it at that. Then you can put some comments in into the system. Then you can select the liability. So again, that's who's responsible for the fraud type, or sorry, for the fraud. So it's whether the member, payment service provider, person, or other, and you can select then from the drop-down list in this screen, and then you can enter in the loss amount. So what is the loss amount on the fraud? So if that if something has went through and say the credit union is liable for the fraud, or what's the loss amount on it. So if it's if we take it the transaction that we're looking at, if we take 200 there, and we can enter in the loss amount on the fraud. So once we've done that, we can then just accept it there, And if we need to make any changes to that, we can go back in just by right clicking on it. And it'll take us back into the screen, and we can make any amendments that we need to on that. And now if I look at that transaction in in Scion, I can see there that it's flagged as transaction is a fraudulent transaction. So it's alerting you there that transaction has been flagged as fraudulent on Scion. And then the kind of last step on that would be then how do you get that data out of the system? So to get the data out of the system then, and for when you're filling out your fraud reports and your central bank returns, this is where you would look then. So the report for fraudulent transactions is TRFRREP, and again it is in the documentation that we're going to send out. So you can put in your start dates, your end dates, so it'll report back all your transactions within that date, and we just click off the fraud report there. So there you have your fraud report with all your details, details on it of the transactions that are showing up, and you'll see there that it breaks it down into different classes. So the first class here, and then it breaks it down into your any other classes that those transactions fall into, and then at the bottom it will give you a summary and give you then an analysis of the transactions. It tells you exactly how those transactions happened, so whether or not they came in through EFT, through the counter program, whether it was by debit card, web transaction. So you can break all that. You can get all that information from the report, and then you can lift the information from that to help you fill out then your PSD, your fraud reporting for the central bank. And there is there is on the documentation that we're going to send out, there is sections on it from the fraud report sheet that you fill out to submit back to the central bank. It tells you where to find that information on this report too. So that's everything I wanted to cover on fraud reporting. Do we have any questions on that?
I don't see any.
Yeah, it has been, fraud reporting has been around a while, so it's probably something that most credit unions are familiar with and are doing it and using that part of the system. But we just wanted to cover it off again today, as some questions did come in about it before the workshop. So that's why I decided to cover that today.
Yeah, John, I'll maybe come in here. Just I know, as you say, John, there's been a bit of feedback on the consultation that went out from the European Central Bank and the CBI on, they're looking to, I suppose, harmonise some of the reporting that is done currently. So that's obviously the payment stats reporting, as well as that would also include fraud reporting that the credit unions will do. So just to provide a bit of an update on that, obviously a few of us have met. And we're currently doing a bit of a gap analysis on the current setup that is reported to the central bank, and then what the process developments will mean going forward. So I know there might be a bit of a tweak required in Scion and what we can spit out from our system to ensure that reporting is accurate and as it should be to the central bank, as well as just understanding what the changes are. And what you guys in the credit unions need to be aware of when ultimately submitting and pressing the button to submit via the online system. So in terms of the systems and how things will be reported going forward, there's no change to the logistics of that. There might be a slight tweak to timelines and the frequency of reporting, but as I say, we're doing a bit of work on that at the minute and intend on sharing that in a sort of written format very soon. as well as towards the end of the year, looking to do probably a couple of sessions on the changes in reporting as well, and what that will mean for credit unions, so that everybody's well aware come the end of Q1 next year of what needs to be done to submit the reports, and so that everybody understands the changes in each of the fields that have been added and or removed. So yeah, more to come on that, and yeah, keep an eye for what we're going to send out shortly on that.
Thanks, Ben. John, if you're done, will we kick off then with Rick, who is going to go through the complaints procedure? Oh, you're on mute, John.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, that's me done.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Okay, just Emma, if you can confirm you can see my screen.
Will do.
How's that?
Not just yet.
How's that?
Yeah, that's us, Rick. It's a wee bit small. Are you able to make it bigger at all?
Yeah, that could be a problem. Is it small? Yeah.
It's quite small for me. I don't know.
It is. I just, Rick, I use the same DB database. I just put my resolution up.
Did you?
And it seemed to be hard.
Yeah, right. I don't know how I could do that. Well, can people read that at least? I'll have to change my connection if I'm going to show a different resolution.
What are you on our desktop, Rick?
Yeah.
As someone said, no, it's very small, and
Is it?
someone else can. I think this is mixed.
Yeah.
Right.
What about Rick? If you just go onto your, just minimize that down on your desktop and just right click there.
Yeah, I ran it from there. That's what I'm running.
But if you just change the resolution on that screen, it should make the Scion look bigger. A few display settings, yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, that's bigger now.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, better.
Okay. Right. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit bigger.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay.
The complaints module's been about for quite a while now, and it really came out of the UK regulations for the FSA reporting, and people really didn't seem to know about it or didn't use it very much because it is quite a powerful area of the system, and it was designed to meet those requirements. So it certainly should cover most requirements needed in the Republic if you want to start using it. But you don't just have to use it for complaints. That's the idea. It's a flexible, almost like a CRM tracking type thing built within the system. But I'll show you the basic overview of it. And initially, it's a matter of setting up the complaint system. It'll be pre-configured with certain codes, and a lot of the setup is around the service groups and the products. Basically, in other words, what areas of people are complaining in, and in those specific group, what product it is. So you've got deposit accounts here. These are share accounts. Those are the service groups, as they would call them. And then within that, we've products. So you might be complaining about insurance on a loan product, or LPLS cover, or RPI, or PPI, whatever you want to call it. So it just is a way of dividing up your products into different service groups. So that's just like a high-level classification of each type of complaint, because we record each complaint as a specific action for a person. And that's where this first tab comes in, where we set up the actions. And these are basically like tracking stages or actions that happen during the case of a delinquency, a complaint case. It's a bit like it's tracking the steps that you would do when you're trying to handle a complaint. So we give each as an action code and a description and a status as well, and then we can trigger off that tasks, letters, access types, and messages. So it's a way of automating the process of handling the complaint You can see there's another tab there, statuses. That means each complaint has a status, like is it under investigation, is it a new complaint, or is it resolved? You can add your own statuses in there as well if you want to track them at a more granular level, but those are the three main ones. Resolving being it's completed. And then we've got areas there as well. So complaint areas, that's another sort of sub breakdown of a complaint to say which area you're gonna report it in. And if I go through a complaint here, it'll probably make more sense to you. So the idea is it's easily and quickly available to everybody as well. So if obviously the customer interaction is mostly at the counter or on the telephone, but so if you're in the account inquiry or you're in the counter and the member says, I want to make a complaint, you can easily action the complaint by simply right clicking on the account number and going down to create a new complaint. So this is just to quickly capture the complaint, because obviously if at the counter you don't want them hanging about, say. So you're going to say which area is it in? Is it savings? Which product, sorry, which area of the complaint? Is it overcharging? A big common one. And then a brief description of what the complaint is. But it can be any area of complaint, you know, the light's not working in the toilet or anything, simple things like that, and any notes about it. So once you accept this, you're in effect creating a complaint on that account. Do that, hit OK. What that does, that triggers a number of things. If I come back here out of the counter, it's recorded the complaint against the member's account. It's actually generated a task here, which can be denominated, you know, your customer, whichever staff deal with complaints, there'll be a task generated from there. And it's using the standard task workflow, so you can, you know, can have multiple people and then one person picks up and acts on it. If I go into the account inquiry now and look at the account, you'll probably also should get a message here. So a message has been set up on the account automatically there. A new complaint was recorded, yeah. So it's showing you on any screen now that a complaint is open currently on this account. But that's basically the setup and the initial complaint creation. But then there's a second process on top of that, which is maintaining or processing that complaint. And that's where this complaint maintenance screen comes in. So this is basically an overview of all the complaints in the system, allowing you to filter through and look at them. You've got a simple checkbox up there, only unresolved. So basically only complaints that haven't been resolved. So if I just put in my account number there, or I don't need to put the account number in, but click down below there, it just show me these are all the current unresolved complaints by this member. Obviously, he's quite a complainer. So there's 4 complaints there. You can see details about each of them, when it was created, what area it was. So like it's a summary section. And then each complaint case, then you can do actions on. So simply all you click is the details button and it'll show you all the actions that we've been handling on these complaints. Actually, I'll come out of that one. I'll go back to the one I just created. My interest rate is wrong. Sit there. Details. So that's the details of this complaint case for this account. The new complaint that he complained about his statement being wrong and the interest rate's wrong. Then I need to add actions to that. So it's basically, you can see the status is new here. So I add a new action. A new action would be, we'll say initial letter. So if you guys have a standard complaint letter you send out to everybody as soon as they make a complaint, that can generate automatically because we can trigger a letter on the back of that. So that I've recorded that action against the member there. On that case, the initial letter has been sent out. The status should have changed now, so it'll be under investigation, or the status will be whatever you've set up for each action. So if I look at his interest rate is wrong here. Yeah, you can see the status is now investigation, so it's not new. So in other words, it's a new complaint. Somebody's actually done something about it. It's now under investigation. If after all that activity, you know, they come back and say they're happy, then you can basically do a new action on it to say the complaint is resolved. before we note against it, accept that. So that'll in effect then will complete the complaint. So you can see now we've only 3 complaints now because I've dropped off that one. I can look at the history there. So we know we've tracked the case all the way through. We know the actions that have happened on. We know when it was resolved, when it was created, how long it was under investigation, and when it was completed. So you can, in some way, you have an idea. You can analyze the duration, the time it takes you to fix your complaints. So that data is all recorded against every account now, and you can see the activity. If you look at the account, you'll see it does generate a whole load of activity for you here. It can show you the tasks being created, the letters being created, the complaints being resolved. So we can trigger actions and all these things as well.
Rick, just on that, there was a question of, can you see the detail of the complaint when you go into the account? Would that cover that off?
You can only through the complaints module. I suppose we keep it really hidden, maybe because we don't want everybody looking at all the complaints people have made. So you need access to that screen, the complaint maintenance screen, to be able to look at the detail and track the cases. So you'll know that a complaint's on the account, but you won't know the details because that message comes up.
So you'd need to have access. Is that a permission?
It's permission based thing because I would think a lot of complaints may be confidential. They wouldn't want everybody knowing about them, so they should be restricted. It's good to know there's a complaint on the account, but it's maybe not necessarily know exactly what the details are.
Okay, so do the credit union do that in their role permissions?
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a way of tracking this by timeframes as well?
Well, there maybe needs a bit of work done on that screen to give you more detail like that, but currently we have a complaint report which really was designed for the complaint report was designed for the say FCA reporting, and it really gives you a lot of good information about your complaints. So I'll just try and run it here for 2021. So it's almost like a status between these 2 dates. You can, that was quick. I'll just bring that over if you can see that. So this is the detail of the report. So it's basically showing you all the complaints you created in the period. It's not showing the ones I did there because the dates are wrong in our system here, but it's showing you the ones you created, the ones you closed, and then active complaints within that period.
Okay.
And then it's showing you then basically things that you've done or the status and then the detailed breakdown of all the complaints in that period.
So that would be the different timeframes then?
Yeah.
Okay. And Rick, can the system distinguish between formal and informal complaints? So, for instance, if the member complains at the counter but doesn't want any follow-up?
Yeah, I suppose we could. Yeah, I suppose it's the classification. You could do certain things depending when we're generating a complaint here. The complaint area, the product service, or it could be general, and we'll always have to create the initial complaint case, and then somebody has to handle it. But we can classify it in different ways. If you don't want to be, we could have a new classification in the setup there, which would be, general, do not follow up. I'll show you that in the comp setup. So these are all configurable areas. They're all just different things. We could have a service group, which would be internal, maybe complaints, and a product service would be internal. So it's just ones that you don't want to track, or you don't want to do anything with, and they'll come out in the complaint report separately. So as long as you categorize them in better ways, you can probably do better controlling reporting on them.
Rick, and then there's just another one there from Bernadette. Would there be a footprint to show that there was a past complaint on the account so that you would know if something arose again? She's not sure if this is related to access.
It is, yeah, that's exactly, Bernadette. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so I can look at an account, ACAC, this. These are available in multiple places, but if I put in my account, you'll always be able to see the access type will be complaint probably there.
Yeah, you can, Rick, you'd also see that from the footprint.
Yeah.
The paperclip.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's it. Yeah.
If you had access to that permission to that.
Yeah, view that one. Yeah.
Access type, yeah.
Hang on, let's just see how that works. Yeah, so I should be able to see on that account the note type in there. complete action. Oh yeah. So you've got all the actions there. Yeah. So you can see there. Yeah. Or you can view just a list if you want. I think it'll in there. So if you want to go up there, you could do complaint as well. Yeah. Well, that's the idea, basically. Hang on. So you just get a summary of it. So you can print those out. So yeah, there's a full track of every account, every complaint action. You can see the complaint actions are in there too. If you look at that, there's a sorry, if you look in there, a complaint action. So you can see something's been done on it. Initial letter, phone call, and then you can see resolved ones. Yeah. So yeah, the full, that's outside the complaints module. That's just track through all activity in the account. But yeah, you've got a full set of reporting you can do, or you can look at cases and you can track them this way. So I think that's about us then, if we've got any questions.
No, that was all that came in. Thanks, Rick.
But it'd be good to enhance this if people have got ideas or suggestions about it, because it's been, it's been underutilized for a long time, because it just hasn't seen as being important and within the system to record this stuff.
So Rick, is that you finished then with the complaints procedure?
Yep, absolutely. That's us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, someone's actually just said there, Bernadette said timeframes built in would be great.
As in what timeframes, Bernadette? Are we talking about from the show, the time frame from whenever the complaint was created?
To match FSPO.
Yeah, probably something along the lines, Rick, of when an action needs to be completed or a complaint needs to be resolved. I think, Bernadette, is that more?
Where do the guidelines say that you have to basically resolve it
exactly,
within? Yeah,
within so many days. So like probably something around like a letter needs to acknowledging the complaint need to be sent within 7 days.
I suppose that's the important thing is if tasks are created off the back of the complaints, you can set up there's a complaint task that we generate, so you can say that the days to complete is so many days. So you can track certain things with the tasks as well. So once if you look at the setup here, for each action you do, so initial letter, you can generate a new task. So the new task could say the due date is 14 days, you've got to reply on it, then that will pop up as being overdue on that date for whoever's responsible for those tasks. So yes, you can keep an eye on it that way by tracking your tasks and your workflow. But it would take, we would have to help you set it up if you wanted to run it through. But that's the way it should be done. You should be using your task to track the activity. It's giving you an initial task, then you're doing some work on it, and then you're setting a new task that you have to do in so many days to keep going with it.
Okay, Bernadette's asking, can I extract reporting on that task overdue?
Yes, you can. You can certainly visualize it on the screen. If I look at my tasks, I can. Can you actually report by overdue tasks? That's a good point. There is an area of the system that sends you alerts to people whenever the tasks are overdue. That happens every day. If somebody's task has become past due, they should be getting a message to tell them that. I don't know if we have a task report that actually allows you to report on that one. John, do you know if we haven't got a task report, have we really?
Task rep.
So yeah. Oh, task rep, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Task rep, yeah.
Yeah, from date to task type. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I wonder, does that show you does it show you overdue tasks? Oh. Yes, it's a completed date due. Well, I would show you date due task. Yeah, so you can report by date due, and you can filter and and use the wee dynamic things to check stuff. There's handling complaint status completed, so you can see all completed ones. Yeah, and again, you could look at the screen, you know, in this, in your task screen, you could say for a task type, a type would be complaint. I pick complaint there. Sorry, new complaint, I guess. New complaint. Well, we can actually, in the screen, you can actually look at, I can't see the handle complaint, yeah. You could look at basically active only tasks. So that would show me all the active tasks for well, one operator, or if I want to take that out for everybody. So there's no active tasks for no tasks. Yeah, there's no active tasks currently, but it would show me there any active tasks that there's all the complaints that aren't active tasks, and you can look at the completion date. And you can filter them by status. So you can do a lot of work on, I can order by status to see uncompleted ones. You can do a lot of investigation and analysis of your tasks outside this whole complaint processing. Does that make sense?
Yes, she said great, thanks.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions coming in, and that was all the questions you guys covered that we had. We'd asked, for some questions in advance. Anyone can feel free to mute their mic as well, if you want to ask any questions. Otherwise, we'll leave it there. Okay, I think we'll probably just leave it there. Rick, Ben, and John, thank you so much for your time today and for preparing that. It was really useful. We will send a recording on of this afterwards, and as the guys mentioned, we'll have some documentation on as well on the follow-up. So please do look out for that. And if you have any feedback on these events as well, we'll put a link to Survey Monkey just to get some feedback on it, to see how we can make them better for next time as well. But thank you everyone for your time today. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.